That was the first time I've heard you cough in a long time, pal. Welcome to Comic Artists Pro Secrets, everyone. I'm Ethan Van Sciver here with your boy Zack, and boy, I wish we had timed this a little bit better because, yeah, right at that moment, Zack coughed. Look, first of all, let me just see. Let's call the chat up and just see how many people are in here. We got some people in here. How you guys doing? Hi, everyone. Zack, what's going on, pal? How you doing?
I'm doing good, but I'm feeling a little emasculated. I went to the gun range and I tried this 45 caliber, and I had to use my other hand to release the slide lock. My hand was too small to do that.
Your hand was too small?
Yeah, I couldn't reach the slide lock with my shooting hand, so I had to use the other hand to release it.
That's a big problem, pal.
That was embarrassing. That was really embarrassing.
Well, I'm sitting here. I just woke up. I came downstairs, and first of all, I want to make an announcement to people who are here who are not on Twitter. Cyberfrog is done. So I was going to use the F word.
Release the book, Ethan.
I'm releasing the book. I am so excited about this. I stayed up last night.
Oh, you released it? It's terrible. Look at this knuckle in the background on page 12.
I am prepared, dude. I am prepared for that. I can't wait for them to criticize my work, these weirdos. This is the best work of my career. If you don't like this, you just don't like what I do, and that's fine. But nobody can say this isn't as good as anything Ethan's ever done before, because it is my very, very best work. And then I woke up this morning and I went, oh, I want an extra page in there, but I don't want to draw it. I needed kind of a segue page. So I got Kyle. I said, Kyle, what I need is I just need an overhead shot, a full page splash overhead shot of the Pine Barrens with smoke coming out. So I'm just going to roughly sketch it, and I want you to paint it. I'll pay you triple rate. And he was just like, yeah, send it over. I was like, God, I love working with competent people. Love working with competent people. You could just be like,
who is the guy who colored your Green Lantern, your last year of it?
That was you know what? Lately, I swear to God, I'm getting old because people's names are going right on my head. But that was Jason Wright.
He was great because you could tell there was sometimes a page where you would just draw a circle, and then he would put all of the continents on the planet, and a sun exploding. But I would look at the line art, I was like, that's just a circle.
Yeah, that was the advantage of working on a book in outer space. Like, you really do get lazy. You can go, okay, look, first of all, you want to show the vastness of space. So, and you don't want to draw because, look, Jack Kirby could kind of do it, but there's nothing that pen and ink can do that color can't do better when it comes to atmosphere. Yeah. So you just draw a little Green Lantern floating around in white, and then just say paint the background, and it looks 50,000 times better than anything you could have done with ink. And you end up kind of getting lazy. Unfortunately, Cyberfrog does not offer possibilities like that very often. I mean, there are a couple of pages with outer space, but for the most part, you're drawing shit. You're drawing trees. You're drawing things. So this is absolutely the best book of my career. I'm so excited to hand it off to everyone, and even more excited to do the next issue.
I'd be more excited if it wasn't 2 years late, Ethan.
It's 2 years. They keep saying that. They're like, it's a year late. I'm like, no. It was.
I saw Brett Booth. He's like 25 pages in 1 year. But you guys are just lying to yourselves at this point.
Yeah, first of all, yeah, it is. It's much more than that. I started really drawing it. I remember drawing the very first page on Father's Day, the very first page, because my dad was here, and I was just the campaign was still going. In fact, the campaign was only 3 days old, and I was just kind of drawing this shot of the Vespa ships coming in and descending to Earth. I did a live stream about it. That was the same live stream that I got in trouble with Tim Lim. So I remember all this stuff. That it's all timed out to that degree. So and I just slowly kind of drew it. It was supposed to come out in November. I think that's when I said it would come out. But see, again, this is working on that kind of a schedule. This is working on the schedule where you are on a hamster wheel and you're churning out garbage. Now, I saw Brett Booth talking like that, and I used Brett Booth blocked me. What the hell is going on when someone like Brett Booth blocks me? I went on an alt account, and I was like, look, if people want to talk about me, I do feel like I should be able to come in there and respond, especially when there are inaccuracies. And he was like, listen, in the time that Ethan spent drawing Cyberfrog, I could have done 7 issues and or whatever it was. And I was like, yeah, you could have done 7 slapdash issues of somebody else's characters. And by the way, where's that gotten you? You're sitting here out of work looking for something to do right now. That's the state of the comic book industry. They'll toss you out on your ass whenever they're done with you, whenever you become unfashionable. And they really don't appreciate assembly line work like that. Yeah, I could sit there. I could produce 7 issues of garbage too. And I'm not saying Brett Booth's work is garbage. I'm saying it is garbage when you're working at that pace. You are not producing work that is going to stand the test of time. You're not producing work that people are going to cherish when you're slapping together 7 issues in 6 months.
Well, yeah. Not. So I was reading and I was just getting so frustrated because, he was saying things like, he's like, if I take time out and I'm not putting out a monthly book, then people will forget me. It's like, no, dude. It's like you put out 7 issues in the last 7 months, but what? I don't even know what. I think something Flash, and I remember like a Flash Speed Buggy book from like 2 years ago. That was pretty good, actually. But nobody cares about the monthly grind. Like it's dead. It's over.
It is over. These guys act as though there's a shortage of comic books that needs to be filled by people working at full tilt. There is
the monthly grind was literally like it came out of like what do they call that? Sweatshops in New York in the 1940s. Jack Kirby didn't draw 3 books a week because he liked it. It was the only way to pay his rent in his Thousand Oaks home or wherever he was at.
They were getting paid $2 a page. They were getting paid like, I remember reading about Jack Cole working in Quality Studios, where just in a sweatshop, literally a sweatshop where the horse flies would come in and they were 3 inches long. And Jack Cole, creator of Plastic Man, he tells this great story. Somebody tells a great story about Jack Cole. They said these horse flies were flying around the studio. We're sitting there drawing pages. He picks up, he reaches up, grabs one, and then he's working on it, like in front of him. You can't see what he's doing. And then like he lets it go, and he's glued a little strip of paper that says "Drink Pepsi-Cola" to the back of it. It's fun. Absolute genius. I love Jack Cole. But in any case, that's not the way the comic book industry needs to function now. At this point, you're either producing memorable work that stands the test of time, or you are going to be obsolete. I
love it. They want to bring back. Well, this is another thing they brought back. SJWs have brought back censorship, segregation, witch hunts. Now they're bringing back sweatshops. Are they going to bring back horseflies next?
Yes.
Hey, Ethan, where's your horseflies?
How many Pepsi-Cola flags have you tied to horseflies this week? I've done 17 in the time that it's taken you to do 1. Look, but this is the whole thing about the comic book industry, and even DC Comics is acknowledging this right now in their push for quality over quantity. Yeah. There's so
excited.
Shit.
I almost did a video literally on the side of the road. I was getting my car fixed, and I hate waiting rooms. They're the most any kind of car place. The waiting room is the saddest place. So I was literally walking up and down the highway. But I saw the news, and I almost did. The window would have been absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, so they're getting the message. They're not acknowledging who sent the message, but they're getting it.
See, we're not sending a message. We're just talking about what's going on right now. And I mean, the fact that they're going along with what we have purported to be reality, the case, just proves that we are accurately assessing the situation in the comic book industry. And eventually everyone is going to have to acknowledge it. It's not like they're hearing it from us. They're experiencing it. We're telling the people, we're telling them months and months ahead of time exactly what the problems are, what's going on, and eventually everyone is going to have to come to terms with this. So again, this is the thing. I used to know this when I was working in mainstream comics. Like, there were 2 kinds of artists that you could be, Zach, and we would always talk about this amongst each other. You could either be like kind of a prima donna specialty artist, and I was that, all through the 2000s. I was the prima donna. Or you could be a workhorse, okay? And people would call you and say, hey, we just need 10 pages of this done over the weekend. Can you do it? We know you can do it. Get it done.
I just realized the next thing SJWs are going to bring back.
What?
Polio.
They're going to bring back previously cured diseases, horribly crippling diseases. Thanks, SJWs. But you can be one of those 2 things. You can be, you can be a workhorse, or you can be a prima donna. And being a workhorse means that you will get more work. short term. You will work your ass off. They will work your fingers to the bone. They will never appreciate you. They will never acknowledge you. You will never get like the art of Brett Booth, like gigantic. It's never going to happen. But you're going to work really,
and
really
by the way,
hard.
Brett Booth is excellent, and he's better than he's ever been.
Yeah, okay. But he's cranking out work, and until they kind of decide, look, we're going to move on from you, and that is going to happen suddenly. It's just going to happen suddenly, and then it's going to be kind of a quick fall. So
the way I describe it is there's first stringers and there's first ringers. There's the people who pick up the phone on the first ring, and then there's the people who are the actual, top.
Yo, you always talk about that. You talk about people who sit by their phone waiting for it to ring to get a job making a cereal box comic book.
Yeah.
That's it. There are people like that. And
Cyber frog, more like cyber fraud.
Yes. So in any case, at this point, you can kind of do what you're doing. You can crank out work unnoticed until finally they get a hold of you and say, no, what we actually wanted all along was a prima donna.
What is the name of this video by now? Do people know what we're going to get building up to?
Yeah, it's called EVS and your boy Zack Live, Tom King off Batman ? So let's get to that right now. Let's actually talk about
what is the legal status of the question mark with exclamation point? I know the question mark gets you out of anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It could be true, could not be true. It's just a question. But then if you add
put the exclamation point,
then it's like, oh my God, really? Like that. So that's what the exclamation point does to that. Now, if you put exclamation point without a question mark, you are asserting with excitement that this is the case. But in this situation,
I just got to stop and I got to acknowledge your targeted ads because they apparently think you're a housewife from 1982.
Well, I mean, I do stay home a lot, So.
What are they gonna do? Do you remember the AIDS diet pill from like the late 70s, early 80s?
I've seen pictures of it. I don't remember actually.
That was real. My mom had it. My mom had AIDS.
Yeah, the diet stuff from that. Well, you know what? I remember being home and watching The Price is Right, when I should have been at school a few times. That was what it was like to be a housewife in the 80s, I think. Just staying home watching daytime TV.
Christina on the Coast.
Who is this? Oh, she's on HGTV. She's going to show me what is she going to show me how to do? Put an umbrella? I don't know. She's going to teach me gardening, I guess.
These people are so rich. Those two twins that do the home repair, those guys are worth like $500 million.
Dude, they're huge, and women love them. And I think they're gay. And Andrea keeps reassuring me they're not gay. I'm like, those guys.
They seem like they are, but they're not. Yeah, they're married, and it's just a millennial thing.
What do you mean by a millennial thing?
That one of the things is I was actually remembering, I was just laughing in my head because they're like homophobia. I go, everyone in the 1980s experienced homophobia because people would just drive down the street if you're walking on the sidewalk and they would just call you a homophobic slur. Like things were rough in the 1980s. It was like that's all that happened all day long. You had to pretend to be into sports. Bruce Springsteen and just random people would just scream and call you a homophobic slur. So there isn't that pressure to be macho right now. So you can just talk and act like whoever, but you still like women.
Yeah. I mean, in this day and age, I remember going, the dude's a fembot, and people are like, what's wrong with being femme, Ethan? What's wrong with the guy being effeminate? I don't know. I guess nothing in 2017 or 2019. What's the year, Zach? 2019. I guess it's perfectly normal. I guess that's okay. But yeah. All right. Look, Zach, let's focus here. There's a rumor going around. Now, you're the one who alerted me to this. I have been watching your videos pretty steadily on this issue because I'm not reading Batman. I've read a few. I read the marriage proposal. I read all that stuff. But you have been kind of hammering home that Tom King's take on Batman is weird. Why is it weird?
It's just awful. So I actually missed what people I trust tell me were the good stories. Apparently his first 30 issues were like rock solid. and some really interesting stories. And I picked it up when he was approaching 50. And what Tom King's Batman is, just like Tom King's Miracle Man, an extremely depressed, a beta, passive aggressive, codependent guy. And he just punched Robin in the last issue because he was upset because Robin says, "Hey, when we know you're sad because Catwoman left you at the altar." He's suicidal. They just came out with this. Have you heard about this new Burger King advertisement?
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, the one where it's about being depressed and eating Burger King?
Yeah, it's like Feel Your Way, and it's all these non-straight white males. The funny thing is you got to watch that video because it has the strangest tone. It's trying to talk about sexual harassment and depression and suicide, but it's told in the tone of it's almost a musical. Mm-hmm. You know, in musicals where they go from the normal scene to we're about to sing, and there'll be that sentence right in between where they start swaying their shoulders and the music starts, but they're still talking.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
Like this woman is coming down a hallway and she's like, "My boss is a sexist jerk. I'm going to quit this work." And then she tosses papers, but like she tosses it like a dancer would. And I'm like, they're about to start singing. And then they don't sing. But it's basically that Batman. It's a Batman who is obsessed with his feels, and everything revolves around that, down to, hey, yeah, I punched a 14-year-old in the face, but my feels, and it's okay. Now, yeah, he might be mind controlled. It might be a dream, but it wasn't presented as such. It was presented as the real world, because in the next panel is Alfred, kind of coaxing him, and he's like, "You've let Bane get in your head." Mm.
Yeah, there's something about this version of Batman that just seems a little bit off. It is a Batman who's obsessed with
very off.
Yeah, like his feelings rather than. I mean,
and he literally talks about his goal in life is to be happy. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding you. And there was a whole episode about him and Catwoman writing love poems to each other about, I'm not kidding. It was about the flecks in your eyes are green accented with orange. But what people don't know is that in the sunlight, it turns bluish gray. I'm not kidding. Like an entire page of that. Pages of that.
Oh, Batman! It's Batman with a little bit of soy, in
Batman's not a little. It's all soy.
What is Alfred doing? What is Alfred feeding Batman soy? Yeah, a little bit of romance. Now here's the thing about Batman. Of course, he's driven by some bad feelings. Okay, but he kind of pushes those down, and the way he deals with the death of his parents is that he has solely devoted himself to being a one-man war on crime. There isn't a lot of time for Batman to really think about his feelings. In fact, Alfred actually asks him from time to time to take a moment and think about, maybe getting into a relationship, maybe, getting out of his workspace and into something that'd be a little more healthy for him. And Batman constantly says, Alfred, no, I'm devoted to what the Joker's doing here. What do you think this means? Blah, blah, blah. That's who Batman is. Batman is a detective warrior, like full time. He does not want to get married. If he did get married, it would be only because Bruce Wayne has to put on some kind of a front for people to, he needs to look normal. He needs to, but the idea of Batman actually looking for love and then falling like a sucker for someone like Selena Kyle, it's a wrong reading of who Bruce Wayne is. It's a wrong reading of who Batman is, and they're two separate
people. Thing is, it's not Bruce Wayne, it's Tom King. And once we get into the article, we're going to see that everything is about ego. And the other thing is that just like this Cheryl Lynn Eaton saying that she wants comic book jobs to be like a job for the state, these people feel like they work for the DMV and they're in a union. Yeah, Tom King was basically guaranteed 100 issues, and he wrote like he was unfireable, and then he just found out, oopsie,
Yeah. All right. Let me read this article. Well, stop me when you want to interject. It says rumor: Tom King taken off Batman. Last issue will be 85. Now, this is a Rich Johnson written article. Do I read it in a lisp, a British lisp, or is it soy based? I mean, what do I do?
I don't think it's lispy or soy based. I just think it's very like adenoidal and condescending.
Okay, so I'll read it normally. Bleeding Cool has been informed by multiple senior industry sources. In other words, Andy Corey. Okay, let me just point that out. Andy Corey is the leak that basically feeds Rich Johnson everything he knows about DC Comics. And the minute DC Comics gets rid of Andy Corey, they'll have much more luck than they will.
So for people who don't know, Andy Corey comes from Comics Alliance. Comics Alliance was basically Antifa of comic book news. It failed because they were Antifa comic book news. They were political extremists with their ridiculous hot takes. And inexplicably, he gets hired at DC. Inexplicably, he gets handed the pristine, flawless Vertigo franchise and reputation. Immediately destroys it, and inexplicably not fired.
Not fired, and is able to tweet nonstop racist stuff about white people and how he's out to fight white people. Stuff that really DC Comics discourages, and yet it's really tough to get him out of there. Andy Corey is the leak, giving information about DC outwards to people like Rich Johnson, but also he is the open door to SJWs like Richard Pace. SJWs like Zoe Quinn,
Eric Esquivel, they all knew about it. Oh, we knew about it, but we thought he was done.
Yeah, Eric Esquivel, who was a alleged rapist, sexual assaulter of women who worked at his comic shop or something like that. All of these people came into DC Comics through Andy Corey, and then all of the information that when he said multiple senior industry sources, that means Andy Corey and someone else maybe, but probably just Andy Corey. The current writer of DC Comics' twice monthly leading title Batman, Tom King, who is to leave the series with issue 85, and that this was not his decision. King retains an exclusive contract with DC Comics and will likely be working on other projects for the publisher, but not the ongoing Batman series.
Right now, Mitch Gerads, he's worked with Tom King a lot. He did a little... I really hate comic pros. Like he did one of those cutesy pie elliptical tweets. He's like, I know about something, but it's leading to other things. So this is my guess. Tom King is going to be taken off the book, but he's going to be put on prestige books that are out of continuity where he can do whatever he wants. And that will be SJWs are always their failure is always repurposed as success. Domino was not canceled. It was turned into a team book.
Mm-hmm. No, I disagree with you. I think that's Marvel, not DC. I think you're going to see Tom King on Doom Patrol. They're going to move him over.
They're going to kick him down to the farm leagues.
Well, they wouldn't consider it the farm leagues. They'll give it a nice push so that it's exciting that Tom King is writing that. Or you might see him moved over to the Superman books, and Bendis might get shut out. I mean, here's the thing. Bendis, Superman under Bendis has been a bigger disaster than Batman.
It's a complete flop. It's way down the charts. And well, I don't know, but I'm assuming he gets a good rate. I mean, they handed him a quarter of their output. What is this, 2002? That's an insane decision. And people aren't happy. I'm pretty sure that Tom King, by the way, when I was a kid, I visited my cousins in Florida. And the local bully at the apartment complex, his last name was King, and they were telling me about how bad he was. And then I just interjected. I go, King's a really good last name for a bully. They didn't like that. They really did not appreciate that comment at all. They're like, no, this is Florida. Our bullies don't just make fun of your bicycle. They beat you up and throw you into waterways. Like, on the regular.
It's a good last name for a bully, good first name for a dog. Well, at least in the 1950s, people don't really name their dogs King anymore. But all right, so that's my prediction. Now here's the thing that's frustrating for most people who are like avid readers of DC Comics. DC Comics has some really, really good talent, that receive critical acclaim. Everybody likes them, and they do not promote them. And in this case, I'm talking about Peter Tomasi.
That was the name I was going to say, and the other one was going to be Brian Edward Hill. Brian Edward Hill is a strong contender for maybe taking the Batman position.
Oh, that would be great. That'd be great. So
fantastic.
Peter Tomasi, wherever you put him, Peter Tomasi was my editor on Green Lantern Rebirth, and that's where I noticed his absolute brilliance, good sense of humor, and also just smart, goddamn smart ideas.
And normal, from what I've heard,
A normal guy, yeah. And so he was working with Pat Gleason on all these books that are just critically acclaimed, amazing. Pat Gleason finds himself over at Marvel Comics. Somehow, DC Comics let Pat Gleason get away while they took Brian Michael Bendis to put him on the Superman books and drive them down to the 50,000s in sales. And then they put Tom King on.
And again, those are not sales; those are orders, because every store I go to has 3 inches thick of unsold Tom King Batman and Bendis Superman.
Absolutely. Pat Gleason getting away from DC Comics is absolutely good for Marvel. That was a smart acquisition. Terrible for DC. And why DC won't just suddenly elevate Peter Tomasi to the promotional godhood level that they've elevated Tom King and Brian Michael Bendis is absolutely beyond me. I can't think of anyone who's earned it more. Anyone who's shown more loyalty to the company, and anyone who has consistently produced fan favorite, critic proof work the way that Peter Tomasi has should be.
The crazy thing is he's writing Detective Comics. And it's good. I just bought another issue today. And his Batman is the real Batman. Mm-hmm. He's aggressive. He's alpha. He's mission focused. It's just all him fighting crime.
That's all.
That's the B book. That's the secondary book.
That's amazing. Unbelievable how this happened. So, well, in any case, all right. So it looks like last issue is going to be 85. Now, I want to also point out that, you'll notice this. I read this article. The tone is one of mourning. This is a mourning with the U in it. This is.
Oh my gosh! I checked out Twitter. I just searched Tom King, and literally,
look at
if you did a Venn diagram of soy mouth profile pics and people up in their fields, because it's Tom King has the soy market. That's why all the shill media is for him. But for the average Joe, I used to talk to normies and I said, hey, Batman is going to marry Catwoman. They loved that story. They loved it.
Yeah.
And then he had to subvert expectations.
Yeah.
He had expectations to write until issue 100.
Look at this. Let Tom King finish his Batman run. But you know what? It's going back and forth. But yeah, I think you're going to see the same people. I think if you did like a Venn diagram of the same people who love Captain Marvel, who love The Last Jedi and are super protective over it, and then people who are like, please let Tom King finish his Batman run, it's going to just be one circle. Just one circle. It's all the same people for some reason. And it's going to
look like those planets you drew in Green Lantern.
Yeah.
It's just a circle.
Yeah. I have nothing against Tom King. He's a nice guy, but yeah, I don't think he got Batman, and I think this was the right thing. He put him on something else. Put him on a book that's. I would put him on Catwoman. I would put if you're going to keep him in Gotham.
Oh, Catwoman's in very good hands with Joelle Jones. Very good hands. It's got good reviews. It's got solid sales. It's not really tied into anything right now. It's just kind of Catwoman on its own, and she's a great artist and she's a good writer too.
Dude, they've got Catwoman selling royalty levels. I pointed out in another video for people.
I was shocked when I saw that, but then I remembered who was on it. It's not my style. It's not a bad book by it. It's just not my style. Yeah. I'm not a big Catwoman fan, except for the Michelle Pfeiffer and Batman.
I like those Jim Ballant issues with Chuck Dixon, though. I
was never into it. I never thought she was a good. I liked her in Selena's Big Score. Darwin Cook could write and draw her very well.
No, the thing about it is that for people who don't know, so this is the state of the industry. In order for a creative team to earn royalties on their comic book, they need to be selling one copy over 40,000. So once you hit if you sell 40,001 copies of your book, you are making about 5 cents.
Can we talk about how pathetically low of a goal that is? That's not 40,000 of Jawbreakers or Cyberfrog. That's 40,000 of a character that 4 billion people know about.
Right. Yeah.
Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern.
But
Flash doesn't even get royalties.
Not anymore. I don't know why Flash fell off the royalty mill there. It was doing really well. It was like one of their number one. Flash was the book that you wanted to be on because it made royalties. Flash and Batman, and now not anymore. Flash is no longer one of DC's premier properties, and I don't get that. Maybe the TV show is dying or something, but yeah. So 40,000 is all it is now. Somehow, Joelle, what's her name? Joelle Jones? Did you say?
Yeah.
Joelle? She's got Catwoman selling royalty levels. Catwoman should be at, let's see, if Flash were selling 60,000, Catwoman should be selling 25. So the fact that that's reversed is pretty impressive. And again, you look at Joelle Jones, promote her. Put
Joelle Jones on Batman.
I mean, why wouldn't you do that? If you can take a kind of a small property like Catwoman and make it sell royalty levels, that's the person that you should be promoting, and promote internally. Promote Pat Gleason, promote Peter Tomasi, promote Joelle Jones. They're already there, and they're proving their worth every single month when those charts come out. So that's what they should be doing. Instead, they're looking outwards and they're going, what does Marvel have that we want? Marvel has nothing that you want. Marvel has a cancerous disease. You don't want it. Do not look at what Marvel is doing. Focus inwards at who's working within your own company. DC Comics right now is pristine. I mean, it for the most part, the books that they're putting out are all quality. You've just got a couple of topsy-turvy casting choices. Tom King should not be on Batman. Obviously, he doesn't get the character. In the meantime, you have Joelle Jones, who is excelling within this tiny little arena that you put her in. She's like a gladiator out there cutting people up and just
exactly. And
put her in a bigger arena.
Tom King was the worst mistake DC ever did, was tell Tom King he had 100 issues to tell a story. Because all that did was tell him, you've got a government job protected by a union. You can do whatever you want. So he's like, okay, I'm going to do 5 issues of dreams. He did 5 issues in a row of Batman having dreams. Then he had Batman, getting just cuffed in the most humiliating fashion. Now he's punching children because he's up in his feels. He just saw the Burger King commercial. He's like, yeah, feelings are never wrong.
Actually, Eric Larson dunks on Tom King in this article. Where do you see this? I said, we understand this decision went down during MegaCon in Orlando. MegaCon's not the same as it used to be. This past weekend, no one is going on the record. No one is.
I didn't hear a peep about MegaCon. It did used to be a big one.
MegaCon.
What's that other one on? What's the other one that's on the East Coast? DragonCon. I've heard DragonCon had really trouble.
Cool. DragonCon had trouble because a pedophile owned it, and he was in jail. But he owned DragonCon, and so he was still collecting money for it, and it was a real problem. They took him to court a bunch of times. The guy was in jail, but they couldn't.
I think that guy's been out for like 5 years. I remember 2 years people saying DragonCon is like a normie con, and it's out. I guess it's all outdoors. Like you're not constantly going in some smelly convention center.
No, it's not outdoors at all. It's all indoors. It's
not outdoors, but I mean, like it's like broken up into different bits, and you just kind of walk in a street and you go over here, you go to this tent, you go to this building, something like that.
Yeah, that's where I saw 2 stormtroopers having sex at 3 a.m. in the hotel, and I never went back after that. I thought it was weird. But DragonCon, was, I think it was permanently damaged. I think the reputation was damaged because of that.
What is the good con right now? Are there any good cons? I went to San Diego Con last year, and it was like a sad wizard world in North Dakota. There was like 1 billion people in the streets getting free, Saw character masks from some movie guys, but you went inside and it was pathetic.
Yeah, I think honestly,
convention floor.
I think New York Comic Con is the good con right now. San Diego is slowly dying.
New York was fun. I might go this year.
Yeah,
dear New York Comic Con.
MegaCon,
I have some shocking news for you.
Let's see. MegaCon. Oh yeah, like if you see your boy Zack, bring him to me. But just make sure it's really your boy Zack, because honestly, if it isn't, there could be trouble.
Dude, somebody DM'd him and he said, so what would happen? It sounds like you're threatening. He's like, oh, I just wanted to make sure I was talking to the right guy. Freaking lie.
How is that an answer to that question?
It's just a liar.
Weirdo. Yeah, anyway, Zach, MegaCon used to be great because it was in Florida in February. So it was like, Orlando, right? It's still the dead of winter. It's sunny, it's bright. You're getting in a pool. It's the opening of convention season. MegaCon used to be so much fun. And then for some reason, they sold ownership over to the people who do what the big show in Toronto. I can't remember what it's called right now. And then they made MegaCon happen in Orlando in June. It's hot. If you've ever been to Orlando in June, it's hot. You don't want to go. It was so much better in February. It was such a dumb decision. I used to love MegaCon. All right, so no one is going on the record. No one is giving an unqualified confirmation, but significant people appear to believe that this just went down. We await further details. Tom King joined the Batman title with the DC Rebirth reboot after critically acclaimed runs on the Vision, Omega Men, Sheriff of Babylon, and Grayson. He has often talked about his 100-plus issue planned run on the Batman series. Recently, that was up to 105. Why? Taking into account the Button and the Price crossover issues written by others. Oh, sure. He previously talked about having to talk to Warner Brothers and AT&T over his final plans for Batman, saying, what we're going to do for the last 15 issues is something no one's ever seen for the character. It looks like we will be denied whatever it was he had planned.
Oh, God. So one of these things that SJWs always do is they always have to put their stink on things. They can never just have their turn and then, turn it over to someone else. And so I'm sure it was going to be that, I don't know, his dad was having an affair and it was supposed to be an assassination of the mom. It would have been something ugly that would have ruined how you looked at the whole thing. Oh, Alfred is his real father because there was an affair. Something like that. Just something gross and grimy. And you're just like, why? I've got to leave my stink before I go.
I want to change everything and make it even more confusing and awful. Yeah.
So the thing about this AT&T, what is it? Who's the merger? AT&T and Warner?
AT&T and Warner Brothers. Yeah.
So one of the things about, I can't believe I'm saying this. One of the things about these companies is they want to make money and they know value of their properties. So they come on and they say, they're saying, what are the ratings of Gotham? Oh, they're this. Cancel it. How are the Ben Affleck Batman Deweys? Oh, they're underperforming. All right, he's off. New guy. So they realize. I just imagined like the first meeting when that AT&T guy is talking to the comics division. He's like, "Hey, so man, I'm so excited to have these great properties. I've loved Batman since I was a kid. Tell me what the sales are for They have a Batman comic, right? You know how normies don't know if comics still exist?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you used to buy Batman and Archie. They still make those? Yes. Yeah, they never stop. So they're like, he's like, tell me, what's the sale of Batman? They're like 80,000. He's like, oh, 800,000. That's good. They're like, no, 80,000. He goes, oh, no, all of the metrics, not like a subsection just sold at like CVS's. All of the Batman sale.
Yeah.
Like 80,000. He's like, what the hell?
Humiliating.
And then he's like, show me these books. I don't understand this book. Oh, it's a dream. So it doesn't matter. No, it's a storyline of dreams. So the whole storyline, like, can you imagine a businessman explaining Tom King Batman to him?
Yeah.
He's going to be like, what the hell? It's like, well, he has a plan for 15 more issues plus 5 plus 3 more miniseries. Plus he's going to permanently change the characters. Like, or we'll just put Peter Tomasi in there.
Yeah, exactly. What about just fun action adventure Batman stories? No? You would think that. You would think if I had 100 issues of Batman to do, I would be like, I'm going to do my Clayface, my ultimate Clayface story, my ultimate Man-Bat story, ultimate Penguin story. A lot of just kind of navel gazing, a lot of time to really be introspective. I don't know who it's for. I have to say, I think it's...
You said navel gazing, but that's literal scenes. The last comic I read, he was sitting in his chair at the monitor. And he had his head in his hands and he was staring blankly down at his feet. Mm-hmm. Do you remember the Chuck Dixon cut to the Batcave? Bruce Wayne is bench pressing 550 pounds and it's a warm-up.
Yeah, that would be, see, that's it. Here's the thing about Batman. Every guy wants to be Batman. In fact, a lot of women want to be Batman too. And it's not because he's depressed and sitting in the Batcave crying. That's not why anybody wants to be Batman. So when you're approaching a book like Batman, again, all of these comics are power fantasies. Go into it saying, what is it about this character that makes people want to be them? This is why Ms. Marvel is a terrible character. I just had a conversation with an SJW about this. Ms. Marvel is a terrible goddamn character because nobody wants to be her. Who would want to be that character?
No woman wants to be misshapen.
Of course.
That's her power, to be misshapen.
Chris Neville says, I could do without the murdered parents part. Yeah, but here's the thing about it. You don't want your parents to be murdered, but you want justification to be out there on the streets beating ass. And that's a good motivating thing. You want to be righteous in your fury as you punch the Mad Hatter right in the nose, right? I mean, breaking his face in half. Because my parents, that's why. It's cool. It's a cool power fantasy. People like the drive of Batman. People like the dedication of Batman. The singular, focused dedication to making the world a better place.
Oh gosh, I can just see Tom King's twist. Bruce Wayne hired Joe Chill when he got angry at his parents, and then canceled. But Joe Chill went through with it anyway. Oh god, that's so Tom King.
Yeah. All right. So he talked about that. Whatever Tom King pitched to Warner Brothers and AT&T, that may have been one of the reasons why he's gone, actually, and that isn't mentioned here. But
I just love. I want some guy who's come from like the widget industry or the oil industry. So he's like, "Thanks, Mr. King. Walk me through what you have this."
Oh my god.
So Tom King's like, "I have 2 words for you." The guy's like, okay, bat ovaries.
Oh, no. All right. So recently, Bleeding Cool has reported on falling sales in stores during the Nightmares arc, seeing a Batman trapped by Bane in a series of nightmares. The series remains DC's best-selling regular title, but sales don't seem to have recovered quickly enough on that arc's conclusion, and recently Immortal Hulk topped it. So today's Savage Dragon by Eric, my book, sells 2,900 copies a month. Larson throws shade in his direction.
Why are SJWs not humiliated by failure?
I don't know.
Wouldn't you cancel it just out of embarrassment?
Yeah, like is it just like complete like lack of self-awareness? Like,
well, no, Eric Larson, respectfully, I think he's autistic or something like that. Remember in the 1990s, he's like, everyone's going to switch books, but I won't. I'm going to write this until issue 500. And everyone's like, whoa, no one cares. Yeah. And he's still fulfilling his promise he made in a Comic Buyer's Guide interview in 1993.
The entire comic book industry is going to be gone, and he's still going to be. Well,
it's actually not going to make his sales go down anymore.
Like, the Savage Dragon number 489 sold 5 copies, but I'm stuck to my guns. I stuck to my principles. So here's Savage Dragon saying, look, you can't waste 6 issues on Powerhouse. And this nerd is saying, I had an idea for a 5-issue dream arc where we explore. And then this person is saying, no dreams. So, what strikes me about this? This would have been really funny and meaningful in 1993 when people actually cared about what was going on in comics and the scuttlebutt of comics that would be driven by Wizard Magazine and all.
Yeah, you'd have Peter David doing a little zing against Eric. They do those little things back and forth, but now everything's dead and everything's broken and nobody reads comics.
I wouldn't know what this was talking about unless Rich Johnson told me. I'd be like, I guess that's funny somehow. I wouldn't know what this referred to. They're just, comics are not moving enough. People are not talking about them.
By the way, what is that thing to the left of the glasses guy?
Yeah, I was looking at that too. First of all, glasses guy's a little bit oddly shapen. But yeah, where is this? Is this a nose and this is a mouth, or what is this? And look at the big, thick hands on it. What is it? That's like a David Lynchian kind of nightmare character. Like you go
because David Lynch cares. Like David Lynch would never do something this lazy.
But the book remained an award winner and was heavily noted in the current Eisner Awards nomination. That means absolutely not. Okay, one of the few superhero books to have such a presence. Tom King has been in a powerful position at DC Comics where he was able to replace one editor with another after disagreements over which artist would draw Batman's proposal to Catwoman. And by the way, that was catastrophic. That whole thing got him in the New York Times.
What the hell is Tom King getting an editor fired because he wants? What did he want? The guy who traces the 3D models to draw it?
I like that guy personally, but yeah, I like him personally, but yeah, I don't. You know what I think it is, honestly, Zach? These writers don't understand that. They don't understand the 3D models thing. Because I remember seeing a piece of work by a gentleman who clearly traced 2 3D models for a cover, and I remember Jeff Johns going, "Wow," and I went, "No, he didn't. He traced that. It just looks good." Oh shit, we're in real trouble. I mean, that's what we're gonna do now. All right, the falling sales may have diluted his influence somewhat. He has described his run as a love story between Batman and Catwoman, and has been treating it all as a single narrative.
It is the worst. It is the worst love story. I previously said that Scott Pilgrim and the Ramona Flowers is the worst romance in comic book history. Tom King's Batman and Catwoman. Catwoman clearly has no respect for him in every single interaction they have. He is a clown that she's literally just toying with.
Right. No, you get that sense, don't you? Batman's a dope. His Batman is a dope. Bruce Wayne is not stupid. Batman is not stupid. Batman would not fall for this. He wouldn't fall for a woman. He would never take a risk as goofy as marrying Selena Kyle. Because first of all,
I forgot how cucked out he is. So they were going to get married, and they were having the bachelor and bachelorette party. So the women went out drinking into a strip club.
Mm-hmm.
The men went fishing. There's also been entire issues of Bruce, Selena, and Clark and Lois going on double dates.
Yeah. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. What is that anyway? What is it with this generation of males depicting women doing things that men traditionally do?
And then the interactions are all of the interactions are the Lois and Selena are making fun of Bruce and Clark, while Bruce and Clark are saying how amazing. I'm not kidding. That's the actual story.
Oh God, it's so painful. Well, this is what it results in. This is what that phenomenon results in. It doesn't feel good when you read it. I mean, it might feel safe to write it, but normies read that and they don't like it. It feels odd. All right, so throughout the run, most prominent with Michael Janin, he has slid one story into another with Gotham Girl. The conflicting first meetings of Bruce and Selena, his confrontation with Bane, his dealings with the Psycho Pirate. This is all worshipful stuff from Rich Johnson. He's really impressed with all this. The input of Dr. Manhattan.
That was the first 30 or so issues, and those have a very good rep. Very good.
And his appearance of his father from another dimension, all coming together into one story with Bane that also ties in with DC's Year of the Villain, but that has a deeper narrative purpose. He has deepened Batman's story with an attempted suicide as a young man in the wake of his parents' death, informing much of what the role of Batman is to Bruce and those around him, just how the man is broken, how it fuels him, and how healthy that is to everyone involved, all while writing work intended for a visual meme generation that pays homage to the rich history of the character. So this is Rich Johnson putting in a defense for Tom King here. I mean, this is he might as well be Tom King's lawyer. Here we go. You don't know a damn thing, and then boom. This is of course based on the famous horrible, and it's a meme because it's horrible, and it's from the Silver Age when things. When Batman and Superman kind of behave like buttholes on the covers and in the interiors of the book. So here's Batman punching the Boy Wonder. I mean, just take a minute and take that in.
And again, in the storyline, it's literally because the super emotional Batman has been super emotional for 20 issues in a row. And then a 15-year-old kid said, "Hey, I know you're still bummed out about Selena leaving you."
Yeah, he basically,
"You don't know a damn thing," punches him.
He punches him because he says, "Man, I'm sorry your girl left you." This little boy, obviously he's the boy. He's Robin. He's a tough kid. but let's just remember like who he is and his relationship with Bruce in terms of like, look, surrogate father. You know, it's like you've taught me everything that I know. I trust you. We have a special trust together because we were crime fighting allies. I'm so much younger than you. You're so much bigger and stronger than me, and for no reason except for just an emotional.
And then the next panel is, by the way, about half the Bat family is right there in the scene. You can't see them. The next scene is not Nightwing and Red Robin and all and like tackling Batman and saying, "What the hell?"
No,
it's literally he's like soothing him. Alfred is soothing him. He's like, "You've let Bane get into your head."
Jesus God, think about that. Yeah, like what would
it's
actually
all
happen?
about Batman's feels. The thing is, I actually because you know I skip a couple issues, so sometimes I wanted to make sure the entire issue was not a dream. This one was not. So I went to like CBR or Newsarama, and even that shill site, and I think this was the beginning and the end, because you know the corporate people, they go to the shill sites, they go, "Oh, everything's great, everyone loves it." Oh, look, and the guy said. The guy said Tom King's Batman is just a mean, sad person who likes to hurt people. And that's it.
That's it.
That's it. That's what you've done to Bat. Congratulations, Tom King.
I think that analysis and that fair analysis actually got through, and that could be what caused this. When I heard those words, I said, boy, that is a brutal, fair assessment of what is going on with Tom King's Batman. And DC has to hear that. And make a change at that point, because this is intolerable. You're exactly right. What would happen if this happened was, basically the Bat family would have to take Batman down. What is wrong with you? You know, and pin him down. Nightwing would come in and would have to beat the hell out of Bat. It would be ugly. Batman doesn't do this, man. Batman just wouldn't do this. And to look at this, it looks and feels like abuse. You know, part of the whole thing about Batman's relationship with Robin is that, look, he cares about other orphans. He wants that. He would never inflict this kind of betrayal and pain on someone who trusts him. The undercurrent of this, the subtext of this is so awful. It's so hateful. It's so evil. And it's
the subtext is, this is understandable.
Well, that's what Tom King is saying. Yeah, this is look, Robin had it coming. We all have emotion.
No, not that he had it coming, but Batman's up in his feels. He's super duper upset. And really, it's understandable. And that's the part that's just disgusting. And that's the part where, again, you talk to that AT&T, vice president who grew up in tech or the oil field, and you're explaining it, he goes, so Batman punched Robin, a child, because he's sick. This is not a hero. Like, normal people understand heroes. Now, normal people also understand comic books are crazy, and this could be mind control. It could be a clone. It could be all be a setup. It's a fake punch, but it's not presented as anything but I'm super sad.
Yeah.
And sometimes people act out when they're sad.
Sometimes daddy hits his son full on in the jaw like this because he's sad. It's the behavior of an alcoholic abuser. All of it is awful. It is.
He's basically emotion-holic. He's addicted to the ups and downs, almost exclusively downs of his own emotions. Everything is about his emotions. He's not a hero at all.
And by the way, so you've got Rich Johnson up here with his defense of Rich Johnson's an idiot. Rich Johnson might be the biggest asshole in comics.
I don't know if he's an idiot, but I would say he's corrupt down to his core.
Corrupt.
And he is never honest.
So here he is calling it, hey, it's a tribute to the meme generation. That's his defense of this situation here. Something that was pulled out of a Silver Age comic that the reason why it's funny is because it's so horrible.
It's not presented as funny as all. The entire storyline is utterly miserable, and there is no humor at all.
All right, so Batman has been a textbook case of someone having their cake and eat it. Well, now we are told that this cake has been spilt on the floor and that Bathound is licking it up. Ha ha ha. How it ends, we don't know. Who takes over for Tom King, we also don't know, but there must be the taint of being the new Doug Wheeler, the man who took over Rick Veitch from Swamp Thing after he greenlit and partially drawn story was.
So basically, he's trying to emotionally blackmail people from taking this.
He is saying right now, he's saying, if you take over this book, you are a scab. We have heard SJWs. Hold on, let me clear my throat. We have heard SJWs use this language before. Do you remember, Zach? I don't know if you reported on this when Chuck Wendig got fired from Darth Vader.
Oh yeah, they were just straight up threatening people.
They said, if you take this job from Chuck Wendig, you will be treated as a scab. They actually use the language of the unions that they are actually trying to co-opt.
By the way, did you see my video from last night?
Yes.
These people have no idea how. So I had someone who's actually in a union. I think they're a union steward. And they're like, I'm in a union. These people have no idea how unions work. First of all, you have to pay dues. I think all of these people would gasp like Willy Ninja, if you know what that reference is. Yeah. Like, what? I have to pay dues? Also, there's no guarantee of being fired. And you don't just magically get benefits. You negotiate and you buy them from the company.
Right. Like, people, they don't understand what a union is. They just know that it's what communists promote. They are communists, these weirdos. And basically, they don't understand. It's like nobody needs you. Here's the thing about being.
So for people who didn't watch my video, this woman who has 2 credits to her name wants DC and Marvel to rent out co-working spaces in major cities and then hire contract people for permanent positions, even if there's not work. Oh, and you got to pay them overtime and you got to pay all their benefits.
These people don't realize they're hanging on to their jobs by their fingernails. So this industry barely exists right now, and they want to unionize.
Funko Pop is the only reason that Funko Pop and Magic the Gathering is the only reason there isn't 12 comic book stores in the country right now. Amazing.
It's Funko Pop is basically literally holding most of these comic book stores up, from actual destruction. And these people, again, they're so deluded. They're so delusional. In a world where Batman sells 80,000 copies, these people think that they deserve unfireable status, that they should unionize and force these industries that are basically on their last legs. DC and Marvel, they're this close to shutting their doors at this point. Believe it. If it weren't for Warner Brothers, if it weren't for Disney just kind of humoring them, they wouldn't exist at this point. And these idiots, these people who produce garbage that does not sell, these books do not sell. These people want to force unions on Marvel and DC. Zack, the mental illness is, I hate to use the word toxic, but literally it caves.
Have you ever in your life been forced to rely on public transportation?
No.
Okay, so I have.
Okay.
And not New York City. I lived in New York City when it was bad and when it was nice, but I would walk a lot. But I lived in Austin and I didn't have a car and I had to use public transportation. And one of the things is you go, my life is homeless people and mentally ill people.
Yeah.
I'm forced to interact with them every single day. Now, eventually, I got a really bad car, break down all the time. But the amount of mentally ill and homeless people I interacted with practically was reduced to 0. How much do we have to interact with mentally ill people now being in comics?
Dude, it's
constant.
Oh my God.
It's daily. It's not just daily, it's hourly.
It has an effect, doesn't it? It really does. These people are crazy. They're fucking crazy.
I know you tell me, you're like, get on the ramparts, fight more. And I go, I've been dealing with mentally ill people for a year and a half. I need a break.
Let them have comics, Zach. I understand that like you need a break, but I can't let these people have comics. I can't let them. I have to fight them. I can't let them utterly destroy this art form just, out of their weirdo. God, they've infested comics. They're destroying comics. They're destroying the industry. They're literally trying to, they're dancing on its corpse. And at this point, they actually believe that like the comic book industry should house them. They want a kind of Big Brother reality show built around them writing Batman or terrible comics for these. That's what she was saying. We should have housing where like 6 or 7 comic book professionals work and are monitored There are cameras that are
Then it
scrutinized.
got even weirder. She said, "Oh, we'll have a webcam on us so you can see what we're doing." I'm like,
That's what I'm saying. They think this
this
is
is
Big Brother.
yeah, it's insanity.
I can't, Zach. I have to fight these people. I have to. It means too much to
Well,
me.
I saw this meme on Facebook, and it said something like, "Get into the mentality of sometimes you need a rest, not that you quit. I need a rest. I
Okay,
need a
I'll
rest.
take over for a while.
I'm not quitting, but I need a rest."
Yeah, you got to come back because it's, we've got Comicsgate cannot stop until comics are not this industry. Okay, I'm not worried about this industry, but the way that comic books are created and delivered to readers has to be solvent. There has to be a way for people to do this, and we've got a long way to go. We've got people going. At this point, we've got people all eyeing comics gators like you and me and our crowdfunding method, and they're trying to figure out if they can do it
It's
too.
not all profit, you
Yeah,
know.
well, they're
It's not all profit.
you've got weirdos going, they earn that money through bigotry, and all of this kind of emotional blackmail to get people to continue to be stuck in their rut of failure. Like, even if all of this money were earned through bigotry, you don't have to you can actually go out and you could do it your way. You can promote your own whatever and crowdfund, do your own comic book. Okay, you can do it. These people are so determined to mire down competent professionals like Brad Booth, for example, into
Brad Booth is terrified. He even said, he goes, "Hey, I come over and I'm blacklisted."
that's
Now, he's even said that he's blacklisted from Marvel, so he knows the damage and the pain of blacklist. But he's just like, again, a blacklist is something that bad guys do. This is villain behavior.
ask
He's
yourself,
literally saying,
like,
I
why?
know these people. They're villains. The villains run the show, or they're shot callers, at least, you know?
Yeah, you say like, so if I go over there and I crowdfund my own comic, I'm under the I am to believe that I will no longer, I'm going to be blacklisted. I'm going to be on a list where I will not be able to do what I do. Nothing will have changed except I'm going to apply the model that Comicsgate has done in order to make a living. And you're telling me that I can't come back from there? Why not? Why not? There is something seriously wrong with the comic book industry. At that point, you must realize you're operating under just the auspices of fear. You're afraid. The comic book industry has made you afraid. And so, who exactly is the bad guy in
It's
that?
the community, Ethan.
It's a community. We look out for each other. No, you all terrify each other.
No, they don't. That's a nice way to say you're spying on each other constantly. We look out for each other. Don't flip when you're getting out of the shower. Oopsie. Let me flip back in the bush.
It is absolutely astonishing, and at some point, I believe that there has to be a wake up, because the sales are not going to recover. Sales do not recover from this. This is. I'm sorry. It's going to hit maximum velocity. The descent of the comic book industry. It's going to.
I think it's true. I don't think it's gonna. Things really can't recover. All they can do is decline less.
Yeah.
There's this line from Margaret Thatcher where she became prime minister, and she talked about the previous prime ministers, and the job had been to manage decline.
Yeah.
And she said of that concept, she says, "I can't bear it. I can't bear the thought of managing decline."
I can't either. I can't tolerate this. So I won't stop. I'm going to my plan is to just keep succeeding. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep promoting these Comicsgate projects that look good. I won't promote everything, just the ones that I personally think are great. I'm going to keep succeeding and just hope people just go, oh, maybe it wasn't a fluke. Maybe they're on to something. Maybe and what is that going to do? It can't save everyone, but I just want to make it so that comic books are still profitable for people who take a chance. And so far, pretty much everyone who was talented, who has come along and taken a chance on themselves has made a lot of money, and that's what we need to continue to do. I will not stop this, and I don't need a break. I like myself. I'm enjoying all the weirdness, and I feel bulletproof at this point. What more can they do? Are you gonna write more articles about how not only am I a Nazi, I'm a super
Death
goofy
Threat
Nazi?
Cyberfrog, worst comic ever.
Yeah, make fun of Cyberfrog. Cyberfrog's a great comic. I mean, it really is good. I'm not
I
worried
still
about
can't believe that Gail Simone literally lied about reading my books.
yeah, I know. She doesn't read comics.
These are 12-year-old lies.
Yeah.
I read both of his comics. Worst things ever. You don't read comics ever. Like, it's clear. Gail Simone will not know about major character changes and franchise changes that happened 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Her little cat lady friends have to tell her, it's like, oh no, Cyclops, or Wolverine's dead. She's like, oh my gosh, Wolverine, he's so hairy. Isn't he hairy? Oh my gosh, I'm funny.
It's just she's a part of the problem. I mean, there's a big problem in comics. She's a part of it. It's clear. The only way to do it, you have to stand up and oppose these people. You have to be brave, and you have to remember.
By the way, my little theoretical in the live stream last night about her being publicly fired at the retailer summit, it's mean, and I still think something like that needs to happen, or at least not in public. When they have one of these, what do they have it? The writers' retreats, the DC. I want someone from AT&T. Hi, excuse me, Miss Simone. What do you write? I write Plastic Man. Or does Plastic Man write me? And does one of stupid jokes. It's like, no, let's be serious. This is a business. Plastic Man. How many people have heard about that? Everyone. People love Plastic Man. What did you sell? 12,000. What? Excuse me. Please say what you said. 12,000. Please explain why you sold 12,000 copies of a character that 200 million people have heard of and probably 50 million people like. Explain that to me. And no jokes. Put her on the spot in front of her peers. Explain why you sell that little.
Yeah.
Tom King, explain why you just did. They used to do this stuff in the military, and it would get intense.
Yeah.
How come your team? You had two people who could not fully disassemble the 50 cal. This is pathetic. Why? Well, no, they got most of it, but then when they couldn't do the headspace and timing. Your entire job is to locate and close with destroy the enemy by fire and maneuver. These are your tools. How do you call yourself a Marine? How do you call yourself a soldier? How do you call yourself a comic book writer when you're handed Domino and you sell 16,000 copies? Explain that to your peers.
Well, they wouldn't. What they would do is they would go to social media and say, "Do you know
she would immediately go to the bathroom and she would say, I'm being harassed for my sexuality."
Yeah.
Tweet that immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. That's look, these people have social media armies, and that is how they've controlled and destroyed the comic book industry and let it into decline for so many years. But guess what? Now we do too. So we are going to do our best to, get people excited about comics again, excited about what we're doing. I don't want to sit there and tell funny jokes on Twitter. I want to get people excited about Cyberfrog, and I want to push back against this culture war as much as I can. It's important to me. It is actually, I mean everything that I say, Zach. When I'm on here talking about Comicsgate, I mean every word of it. I mean to spend the rest of my life pushing back against this and trying to save comics from these awful, awful villainous people. It's worth it. That's a life well lived. I'm willing to devote the rest of my life to that. I think it's a good idea for me to do that because maybe if I do it, other people will too. All right, so let me just finish this up. Bleeding Cool has reached out to Tom King. This, of course, you were exactly right about this. I didn't recognize it, Zach, until you mentioned it. But this is a threat. This is a threat that whoever takes over the job from Tom King will be considered to be a scab in their career.
It's also a threat. He's also trying to lead the coverage because these people collude. The chill media colludes. They colluded to not cover Jawbreakers until Mark Waid tortiously interfered. He did not cover. You sold 800,000 before he mentioned Cyberfrog existed. And it was only in some hit piece where he could bring up the dark roast from 2 years ago and some other thing that me and you were both not involved with. But then he brought up the dark roast, and then he also brought up, oh yeah, and Cyberfrog exists.
Yeah. they're not gonna. I don't want their. We have our own media at this point. You know,
So
we
what I'm
have
saying
our own
is he's
thing.
trying to create the thesis that other people are going to use.
I think we're gonna peel off people from them, and they're not gonna peel people off from us. I think we're gonna grow, and I think they're gonna shrink, continue to shrink. All right, so Bleeding Cool reached out to Tom King and DC Comics without responses for publication. So, hey, you want to talk about this? And then here's Tom King actually finally responding. This just came out. Tom King just telling people, so many kind notes, you all rock. So this is basically Tom King confirming, I think.
That sounds like a confirmation, yeah.
Yeah, you know, he's
that is Alfred soothing Batman. You've let Bane get into your head after he punched Robin. So let's see what this is. Batman is Tom King. Robin is the Batman comic book series, and Alfred would be Rich Johnson.
yeah.
There, Batman. We understand you're up in your feels. That's okay.
Well, you know, this is the thing. Tom King right now. Tom King's been an interesting character. Remember, he had his life threatened for the you know, he got a death threat. So he shows up
No,
in
he
San
didn't.
Diego with the.
No, he didn't.
He didn't.
None of these people get death threats. Like you said, when people get death threats, you show them.
Yeah, didn't he show it or no? Did I?
He never showed anything.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, that's interesting. Well, he showed up at San Diego Comic-Con with a bodyguard. By the way, the bodyguard was like a friend of mine that I've known for a long time. He's not strictly a bodyguard. He's a comic book fan, but he just happens to be large. So it's like, hey, I'll be watching you. In which case, I'm going to bring some of my bigger comic book fans with me. I will have bodyguards as well, and I promise you, when I do a comic convention, and I promise you, there will be no. Ethan has actually received death threats, and that's why he has bodyguards. And then you won't have a bunch of people like Rich Johnson's side of the arena saying, "Hey, has the comic book industry gotten so bad that comic book creators need bodyguards?" Because no, of course I do. Of course I need a bodyguard. So this is Tom King has been an interesting character. Now, what they're trying to do at this point, SJW's led by Bleeding Cool and Rich Johnson, is they're trying to say, come with us, fall back into our net here. We're going to catch you, and we're going to kind of use you as what? He is going to be a cause of some sort. They're going to kind of promote him as this is a guy who was done wrong by, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's what it seems to be. And Tom King, don't do that to yourself. Don't be Chuck Wendig. They want to make you Chuck Wendig.
God, Chuck Wendig is in like month 3. Those those 2 editors who got fired from Oni. Oh God, they're in week 2. Like when you get fired, first of all, you don't tell anyone when you get fired. You just apply for that next job.
Yeah. Well, if you have an exclusive contract with DC Comics and your book is Batman, see that's a rough thing because anywhere you go from there is down. Batman is the peak; it's the pinnacle. So anywhere they put you from there is down, unless they create some special event for you that's drawn by Brian Hitch or I don't even know who's like the big artist right now.
There really aren't any.
Hitch used to be real big. Dave Finch would be real big.
No, nobody's big right now. They don't let people stay on a book long enough to get a big customer base. All the power is given to the writers, but the writers are expected to deliver, and Tom King does not deliver.
Evidently not. So this is the thing. It's going to be a plummet from here. I just don't. I'm curious as to why they're all lining up. Look at the comments. Let's check out the comments section real quick.
Can you do a refresh? I got a feeling like there's an update.
Really? Okay. Do you know that for a fact, or?
I just get a feeling this is a developing story. So a lot of times they'll do an update. They go, "Oops, it's not right."
55 comments now. Is there an update?
Usually it's at the bottom.
No, there's no update. Release the King cut. I don't know what the King cut is. I'm not sure what they're talking about there. Did Tom King do something that?
They're referring to release the Snyder cut.
I got that, but did he do something that hasn't been released? Oh, look at Richard.
Well, they're saying that the 15 more issues will not be released.
Oh, I got it. Yeah. All right. So let's scroll down and see what people are saying about this. What happened? What was the cause? Are you joking? You already have him for 85 issues. Why not let him go all the way like everyone was expecting? The finish line is so close. Yes, the finish line is close. It is close.
It's a lot closer than
Yeah. Look at those tweets from Mitch Gerards. I know about a thing, and it all means even better things.
That means they're putting him on prestige one-shots and miniseries and stuff like that.
With Mitch, yeah. Okay, yeah. Someone needs to go and reset the has DC done something stupid today clock. I just,
not stupid. This is business.
Yeah, like
Tom King probably gets paid twice as much as the average DC writer. He's given a character that should never sell less than 100,000. And I bet I've been saying this for a year that those things are only selling half of the books that ship. I think people actually reading Batman, 45,000.
Yeah, I think that's right. By the way, in the chat, Cyberfrog is done, everyone. Cyberfrog is finished, by the way. The 1,726 people.
Cyberfrog is dumb, and you're finished, Ethan. You're canceled.
Oh. That's when I start to cry, I guess. Cyberfrog is finished, Zach. It's done. It is finished. These SJWs, these weirdos. Cyberfrog is coming. It's coming out. It's awesome.
Hey, you want some advice?
Yes.
Cancel that page with Kyle Ritter. Please. Oh, wait. Is that tortious interference? Pay him for it and then do not use it.
Why?
Because I do not think it's going to match the other pages. And I think one line of dialogue or one caption, you're George Lucasing. You said you were done. You're done.
No, I needed a transition page.
You're done.
Sorry, transition page. Trust me, Zach. I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for a while. You got to trust me. I'm amazing like that. I know how to tell stories.
88 pages.
Yeah, I know. And it isn't 88 pages. Oh, by the way, I found a ton of discs from Harris Comics of all kinds of Cyberfrog stuff that I thought was long lost. I mean, stuff that's never seen print. Crazy stuff.
Dude, that stuff's from that stuff is from 1996. It was probably saved at 72 DPI.
Oh, I know. But no, it was good enough to print back then. So it is good. It's perfect. I can produce an even better. Like my whole thing is to eventually produce the Cyberfrog collection of everything from the 90s and just jam packed with all of this rare stuff. And I've got discs and discs of stuff now. It's going to be totally awesome. Whoa, look at this. It says, why did you kill the original article? They didn't kill the original article. That's still there. Did they?
Bleeding Cool is a very, very buggy site. And a lot of times we've both had it where they've written articles about me and you, and then 45 minutes later it's gone. But if you search for it, you can find it, but you can't click on it directly. It's a complete shit show of a site.
If this is true, then I'll never buy another comic until whoever's writing it gets to complete his or her run. Why on earth would anyone invest in something for so long?
Wait a minute. Okay, first of all, this person is lying. These people never follow through on their boycotts. But let's look at the logistics of their boycott. They're never going to buy another DC book until an unnamed writer X writes for what, 7 years on Aquaman? And then, like, what? They just all be ignored. These people are idiots.
Yeah. Jake Munoz, thanks for $50. Wow. He says, I agreed with you dropping Comicsgate. I don't recall why you said never mind. Well, I'll explain it. Term gate implies something political, which keeps new people away, and politics is something we want less of. Comicsgate is way more effective as a negative brand or hashtag. We're gonna talk about this. Zach, I'm gonna answer this question. First of all, I dropped Comicsgate for a brief moment when I had a question about the fact that I was a producer rather than an advocate or rather than a customer. And then I realized that no, I am both. I have no reason to drop Comicsgate. I espouse all of its ideals. I stand up for its ideals, and I think I've given more for the hashtag than almost anyone. Okay, I mean seriously, I've gone through a hell of a lot for Comicsgate, so I will proudly use the hashtag and never let it go. That's why I said never mind. The term gate implies something political. No, I see it as an entryway. I think that they initially applied the term Comicsgate to us because They were trying to shut us up. They were trying to make the idea that opposing SJWs, infiltrating this industry, was scandalous. Wrong. It isn't. It's heroic. And Comicsgate, I'm happy to take that term and make it mean something else, which is what I've been trying to do. Comicsgate is an entryway for people like you, or people like Antonio Bryce, Kanan White, all of these guys who want to get into comic books but feel like their views may keep them out. Comicsgate is the entryway into an industry, into success within comics for them and everyone. I like the word. He says Comicsgate is more effective as a negative brand or hashtag. Yeah, my job is to fix that. My job is to turn that around. Again, people have said, why don't you call it something else? We can't. You can't call it something else when your enemies have labeled you that. The only proper thing to do is to take that term and by your own actions and your own words and the things that you do, make it mean something different. Make it mean what you want. So I've taken the Comicsgate brand and in spite of best efforts by weirdo SJWs, I feel like I've made Comicsgate a cause that people actually feel for, they get excited about, that they want to be a part of. And eventually, I think it is going to be, I think it's going to grow. I think it's going to be much, much bigger. It is a return to what was great about comics, Jake. So thanks. I understand people's skepticism about it, but I feel very deeply about Comicsgate. I didn't name it. And yet words to me are just words. They're just labels. Let's make them mean whatever we want. The thing is, these people called themselves social justice warriors because they thought that was cool. They thought social justice warrior sounded cool. The problem is that their own actions, their own behavior, and people's experience with them made SJWs mean something very, very different. And now that's a label they're running from. Similarly, they tried to make Comicsgate into something that was bad. Our own actions, our own behavior, our own work, our own efforts and philosophy have made it mean something different, something positive. So there you go. With love, said with love. All right, so DC needs to trust King to finish out the stories he plots without kneecapping him near the finish line. I just don't think this is the case.
Why do they have to trust him? The results are in. He had 35 good issues. He's had about 40, declining quality, and it's steadily declining. We see the direction it's heading towards.
Yeah, I'm not sure. As readers peel off of the Batman titles, I think a change has to be made.
They had this thing with Dan Slott, and they kept him on for 10 years, and he literally admitted he was just staying on just to hold the record.
Yeah,
like it wasn't because of passion; it was just bragging rights. It was just ego. And then Nick Spencer, who had really destroyed his reputation over the last couple of years with Secret Empire. Mm-hmm. Nick Spencer quit Twitter, disappeared from comics for about 3 or 4 months. And then he came back, and his Amazing Spider-Man is doing great. And basically everyone loves it. The sales are fantastic. I believe they're at or above what Dan Slott was doing. The thing is, people love Spider-Man. People love Batman. Mm-hmm. So it almost becomes to a point where you're hurting this character because it's not Batman. It's Tom King's Batman, who is Tom King. So why don't you go to Image and do your Tom King book, and we'll do Batman. And we'll put Peter Tomasi or Joel Jones or Brian Edward Hill, and they will sell $85,000 per month, and we'll pay them half as much as we pay you.
Yeah.
It's still going to be good. That guy's making hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. Hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, and he's selling 80,000 of a character that billions of people love.
I mean, everyone should be reading about. Here's the thing.
What are the old nursery rhymes when we were kids? They used to teach you about Humpty Dumpty, Hansel and Gretel. Now every American kid knows who Batman is when they're 14 months old.
Yeah. But
it's been that way for 10, 15 years.
Raider Loyalty and what is your name here? Raider Albuquerque says, put you and EVS on these titles. Yeah, see, Zack would say, yeah. I would say, no. I don't want to do that. Zack does. Zack, you would love to get a hold of these characters, wouldn't you?
I'd love to do Heroes Reborn, or just take characters like, you look at these, the indies, they have properties like G.I. Joe, Transformers, James Bond, John Wick, and all of those books sell 5,000 copies.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, if I did those, then I could I'd make them better.
They'd have to put up with 1 week of 12 psychos flipping out on Twitter,
mm-hmm.
and then just do what Dynamite did with your protesters, your 7 protesters. Just ignore them, and then they're like caterwauling about abortions in Alabama. Like these people, they're always going to find some other thing to freak out about.
Well, they'll continue to freak out. That can't be a concern. But a concern has to be money. But the point is, yeah, it's like that's what you want to do. Like the difference between me and Zack in philosophy is, I think Zack is working his way towards the mainstream. Like he really kind of does want to work on these characters. I kind of already did and don't want to do it anymore because the fact of the matter is, it's like I told Brett Booth. I said, you've been working on these characters, slaving over these characters for years now, for most of your life. And what do you have? Like the minute they decide, I don't really have anything for Brett, you're out on your ass.
He's got next month's rent or mortgage payment. That's pretty much it, sadly enough.
Yeah, like I've spent my life. I've spent 25 years working on Green Lantern and Flash and Batman. I don't have anything to show for it. I get nice royalty checks every now and then, but it's not enough to sustain myself. And if I died tomorrow, I wouldn't have anything to leave for my kids. So the way to do that, honestly, you've got to create your own IPs. You have to. You've got to get behind it, promote it, own it, make it important to you and to other people. I don't want to work on Batman. No interest. If DC called tomorrow and said, you want Batman? I'd say, no, thanks. Respectfully. I want to do, I would love to, well, I'm not going to tell you about that yet. I'll save that for later. But I have some points that I want to prove with regards to Comicsgate. But other than that, no interest in that. And yet Zack's like, man, if we just give me James Bond, give me Cable. And Zack's absolutely right. Zack could bring enthusiasm to those characters, and he would put himself in service of these big companies, and they would be shocked. But yeah, not my kind of thing, Zack. FP Sunny said, "What if DC offered you $1 million?" See, that's what they do to Frank Miller, and they get him back. They paid Frank Miller $1 million to do his Dark Knight book.
They did, really?
Yeah, Dark Knight Returns.
Wait, which one? The 2 or 3?
2, and God only knows what they paid him to do 3, but like 2 from 2000, the year 2000, when he came back and did that book, that Dark Knight Strikes Back, that everybody thought was horrible. Yeah, they paid him $1 million. That's how they got him to do it. And I know he's like that was his reaction too.
No, exactly. That's what he just poured himself some Glenlivet and just got super drunk and just laughed. He's like, you idiot.
Yep. Yeah, and he produced a piece of garbage of work, and it was garbage. Everyone was shocked by it, but he just went, look, this isn't where my heart is right now. My heart is in Sin City and all of the stuff that I'm actually creating. You want to pay me to do Batman? I will do a standard. I will take your money.
Dude, you remember when he did the goddamn Batman with Jim Lee?
Horrible.
I mean, it was funny in that it was literally like a sugar-addled 8-year-old as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he's calling Robin a retard.
Yeah.
What are you, a retard? I'm the goddamn Batman. Oh my God. I got to review those old things.
They always do this, and there's always some kind of whenever you bring back these big people with and spend a lot of money and promote it, there's always seems to be something embarrassing that happens. There's always something like with Tom.
I think they made money on that. I think the goddamn Batman. What was that called? Ultimate Batman, something like that.
No,
Absolute.
Not Absolute. All-Star.
All-Star, yeah. Hey, what did Grant Morrison make for All-Star Superman? That was awesome.
He probably just made standard money. There's a difference between saying, hey, Frank Miller, do you want to come in and write a Batman story called, All-Star Batman? And then will you do a sequel? You know what I mean? Like do a sequel to, The Dark Knight Returns. And you're just like, God, I don't have a sequel. Well, could you come up with a sequel for $1 million? Yeah, all right. And then you just, and I talked to Frank Miller at the time. I remember I was working on New X-Men, And Frank Miller came into this convention I was at in New York City, and the convention was dead. It was an absolutely dead convention. It was these big Apple cons before New York could figure out how to do a convention. So I'm sitting there, and he comes in, and he's hanging out with Jeff Smith. He's lurking. I go, hey, you're Frank Miller? Come on over. Frank Miller sat down next to me. He was going through my new X-Men pages. He's like, this stuff looks fun. He's like, I'm working on something right now. I'm working on Dark Knight Strikes Back. And I've got this attitude where I'm like, I don't even care. I just want to have fun with this. And so I'm just having fun. And I thought, oh, that's good. I didn't know what he was talking about until I saw Dark Knight Strikes Back. And then I went, oh, I see. By fun, you mean just fucking around. I mean, that's kind of like, ultimately, that's what Frank Miller was doing and getting paid for it big time.
Well, he had this kind of metatextual thing he did. Both him and Alan Moore just wanted to make their one story, and that was it. And they were really bothered that became the tone of the next 20 years. So he was basically just flicking him in the nose, just like, hey, nerd, it's comic books. It's just men and tennis. Chill out.
Yeah. Leonian Kermit says, Ethan, is there any DC properties you would work on? No, I would do a Green Lantern Cyberfrog crossover. That would just be to further legitimize Cyberfrog, though. I know I've done it. It's not that great, guys. I've been to the mountaintop. You know, when you do Sinestro Corps War, when you do Green Lantern, when you do Flash Rebirth, you have been to the pinnacle. I've made as much money as there is to make in comics. It ain't that much. That one broke my heart. One time I did this video about John Byrne, and I just threw this number out. I go, this is a guy probably in the height of 90s. He probably had $1 million a year. And I guess he got really angry, and he goes, the most I've ever made in 1 year is $650,000. And I was like, what? Yeah, see, that's probably, that seems weird, but John Byrne skipped the Image stuff. Like, Image said, you want to come over here and make a lot of money, and his pride wouldn't let him do it. So I believe that.
That's when he did Next Men.
Rob Liefeld offered him all kinds of money. I mean, those Image guys were big fans of his, and they would have loved to have had John Byrne just eat a little crow, come over here and draw Bad Rock. You know what I mean? And it's like, John Byrne's like, I'm not doing that. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah, but then 5 years later, 10 years later, he was coming back and doing like the Atom with Gail Simone as writer. You're like, oh, that's embarrassing.
He did Superman. He did like Action Comics with Gail Simone too. He would kind of come back to DC Comics and do a little bit of work now and then. But it's just, when it came time to really cash in and make his money, John Byrne, I guess he just didn't do it. His pride wouldn't let him. I don't blame him. I guess I don't blame him. Do you want to, like, these kids who you don't really respect want you to come over here and they're going to pay you?
Yeah, he would have been about, I guess, my age. He would have been like early mid 40s, and Rob Liefeld is like, I want Bad Rock, skateboard and saying Ratatoutinal. Like, it's like, no.
I would have done it if I were Byrne. I would have. I don't know. Well, it's a hard thing because he was in his grouchy old man phase, and
that's his whole life. He's been a grouchy old man his whole life.
Yeah, you're like, you could make him an argument to him and say, yeah, but you're going to appeal to a new generation of kids, and he'd be like, F those kids. Like, I don't need to appeal to them. I've found I'm in a respected. Well, I don't know. Take the money.
For people who are younger than 30, it's probably hard to explain how big John Byrne was.
The biggest.
There's no equivalent right now. God, can you imagine John Byrne selling 80,000 on Batman?
No,
in 1987.
He
did that Legends that sold hundreds of thousands. Legends wasn't even that good. It sold hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, John Byrne's Superman. John Byrne was the kind of successor to Jack Kirby, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to me, you can easily see that because Fantastic Four, Jack Kirby, Stan Lee's Jack Kirby, Fantastic Four run, untouchable, except John Byrne's Fantastic Four run.
Oh yeah. I would say I mean I like it more. I'm not really a Kirby Marvel fan. I like Kirby at DC.
Yeah, and Byrne's Fantastic Four is next to X-Men. No, it's better than his X-Men run. Let me just take that back. His Fantastic Four run is officially better than his X-Men run, because if you go back and look at his X-Men run, it's a little bit scattershot. You know, the Cockrum
It's
comes.
very. They'll also do like Kitty's in the danger room and the xenomorph from Alien is there. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that was very topical then. But yeah, those Fantastic Four, those things hold up like freaking Scottish cast. They're so good. Actually, the last year was pretty weak. John Byrne always has this thing where he loses interest, but he doesn't quit. So you can always tell when all the backgrounds just start disappearing.
Well, it starts just like he'd use photographs. Like he was the guy.
He used photographs, and I remember one issue of Alpha Flight, and it was just pink. You know, it wasn't the fill, button back then, but it was just pink background, pink and yellow background on everything. Where are they? I don't know.
I love it, man. He could do no wrong. John Byrne could do no wrong in the 1980s. And then I would go and find his stuff like, what is this? A John Byrne Marvel team up from 1978? What the hell? It's $5. I can buy it. Oh my God. When I was a kid, anything John Byrne did was absolute gold. Like I loved him more than I loved Todd McFarlane. He was just so important to me, and everything he did looked right. It's hard to explain. There are people who do the definitive versions of some of these characters, and John Byrne did the definitive version of every character. How do you draw the Human Torch? That's how, the way John Byrne does it. How do you draw the Thing? The way John Byrne does it. Everything. All right, I'm going to read some super chats, catch up on this. Thank you guys for, I'm trying to figure out the best way to do live streams. When I have you on, Zach, I don't want to interrupt too much. I'd rather just keep talking and get the super chats afterwards. Otherwise, it kind of breaks up the conversation for people who are re-listening. But I appreciate the super chats. I'm going to read them all now and try to remember the context. Tippy Tail McKitty says, "Eat it, Joe's." Gen X rules. S. Gamble says, "Cyberfrog will go in my gun vault, safe and secure." Well, that's it. You get 2 copies in your gun vault. Christopher Ryan says, "What if Brett is bashing you to work at Marvel?" There's a possibility of that. What do you think of like people just kind of, suddenly they're all hateful about Comicsgate, hoping to
there's definitely the thing about let's go touch the bear, and then that'll give you some interest. And I actually do. Mark Waid literally hires people just to spite me. So yeah, there's absolutely, it could be a career advantage to go spend 2 days making fun of you on Twitter.
Yeah, it's possible. I invite him to do so. I like when people talk about me. Vince Garrett says, "Heard a rumor that Cyberfrog was going out sometime between July and my death. Hopefully it'll be closer to July, but you can't rush greatness, EVS greatness." Well, as long as you stay alive until August, that's an accurate prediction. SSJ Future Gohan says, "Is this true? Caesar is king really off Batman?" Yeah, I'm going to say 99% confirmed. Harry Bergeron says,
I'll knock it down to 90% because you know how the corporate is. They'll have some meeting. It's like, oh, the Nazis are happy. And then they're like, oh, no, just let him finish it. Don't forget that Gail Simone was 100% fired off of Batgirl and got it back.
Yeah, but she actually, first of all, I think that when Gail did that, she inoculated DC to that ever happening again, because that story went around. And it infuriated everyone. But people still talk about that at DC.
By the way, I just got to say that I just got page 35, 36, and 39. He's not working in a row of God King, and people are going to lose their freaking minds when they see this.
Yeah, that guy's really good. Your artist is good.
Oh my gosh, he's so good.
All right, so Harry Bergeron said they've already brought back polio through their immigration policies. Look at the numbers for polio in California. Yikes. Jack Straw says, "Check out Super Harem on IGG. Campaign is almost over and can use a boost before the end. You guys don't want to miss this one." Panboy Lando Soy Child Dong Lover says, "Tim Doyle, leave Tucci alone, you fruitcake." Tim Doyle. Zach, did you see his tweet where he said that if you lay down with dogs, you get fleas? But these fleas, they goose step. I thought I was gonna fucking die. Tim Doyle has to be the goofiest effing SJW in the world. He is such a fool. Absolutely hilarious. And again, Hate to tell tales out of school, but he did threaten to rape his neighbor's dog when she caught him in his yard at 2 a.m. in her yard at 2 a.m. with his cell phone out. He said, "I'm just playing Pokemon Go." And that's a likely story. All right. So Tinfoil Hat says, check out. Oh, I read that one. Vince Rush Art says, yo, Zach, you got to draw a book. Got to draw a book with you one day. It's got to happen, man. The book I'm doing with Spencer Desmond, Hellseekers, may be right up your alley. So, you know, it's nice that a lot of these artists aspire to work with you, Zach.
Yo, yeah, it's very, very complimentary. I always check out anything someone sends to me. I always check them out.
Starcasp Network says, hello, EVS and Zach. I'm a small creator on YouTube. I've been covering Indiegogo campaigns to help bring notice to smaller creators. Can I get a shout out? Yeah, everybody go check out Starcasp, C-A-S-P, but those are like C.A. Network. Dancing Mike says, first King arc was good. The rest sucked. Dropped it after number 48. Nasser13 says, your mods banned my main account from your channel. What? I'll look into that, Nasser. Arch City Comics says, looking for fun comics unlike anything seen in the mainstream? Check out Spider Harem by Wenger and Ball. A lot of people are promoting Super Harem. Basically, from what I understand, it's an Indiegogo campaign. The story is that there's a guy, this is for adults, there's a guy who can give women superpowers when he has sex with them. So, yeah, go check that out if you think that sounds like fun. Darth Gavel says, I'm Batman. Cry, soy boys, cry. Christopher Ryan says, the bird of Bloodhaven says, it's because what they did to Wally West. Yeah, but you know, Dan DiDio has wanted to get rid of Wally West forever.
I thought it was DiDio. You corrected me for a year when I said Didio, and now you're saying Didio.
I said Dan DiDio.
No, I was clear. You said Didio.
No way I say Didio. Dan DiDio. Oh, you know what it is? When I say Dan DiDio, you can hear it as Didio. It's an audio illusion. That's weird. But it is Dan DiDio. Yeah, Dan DiDio has wanted to get rid of Wally West forever. And also Kyle Rayner. And we had to kind of say, don't kill Kyle Rayner. That's not right. When we did Green Lantern Rebirth. And don't kill Wally West when we did Flash Rebirth. Brian P. says, what's your opinion of the detective art direction? Can't say I'm a fan of the odd lines and dimensions. Just look at Batman's head. Yeah, from what I've seen, it's okay. I don't want to badmouth anyone's art. I have trouble with that. Unless
I just picked up. I don't know which artist he's referring to, but the current on the issue that came out today, it was solid art.
Yeah, yeah. Unless somebody badmouths me, then I'll be honest. But you know, I still kind of feel like that professional courtesy thing is there. Andrew,
feelings are never wrong.
Andrew Venable says, walk down any street in the world and you will see a Batman t-shirt. 40K is not high. And Denny O'Neil always said the character had no love life. There you go. And it feels weird when he does. Why would he have a love life? Kleindropper says, hey now, North Dakota is the bestest place on earth. My dad lives there. Johnny Torch says, if you read only one book this year, it should be Cyberfrog. And you can back Adventures of Bullets Bourbon on Indiegogo now and read it next year. Mark C says, I hope the next writer brings back Batman's Bronze Age love interest, Nocturna. Chris Clark says, I hope they keep Scott Snyder away from future titles. For a while now, I refuse to read Batman because Tom King and Scott Snyder had their hold over the character. By the way, I feel like there's some, Tom King came in and took Batman away from Scott Snyder. Doesn't it feel a little weird there? And then Scott, I don't remember too many people complaining about Scott Snyder's Batman. Did you like it, Zach?
I liked the Court of Owls. Well, the beginning of Court of Owls, but his freaking the contingency for the plan of the prophecy. It's bad writing. It's just bad writing, and he does it in freaking everything. No one ever just robs a bank. 5 million years ago, when the first concept of currency was created, a red stem cell was injected to the first coin, and it spread like it. That's literally how his stories are written. It's ridiculous.
Yes. Midnight TV, Peter Tomasi. You say things like "earned it," "hard work," "loyalty," things the soy crowd hate. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, Peter Tomasi is all of those things. He earned it. He works hard and he's loyal to the company. He deserves a promotion. And yeah, the soy crowd doesn't like that. SSJ Future Gohan says, let Bruce marry Selena, make Grayson Batman again. No, I just don't like that either. Darth Gavel says, Batman, my parents. Void Crowart says, hit that button, like button, people, help the algorithm. Oh, yeah, if you wouldn't mind, guys, we got 1,700 people in here. Please hit that thumbs up button just real quick, and it helps. It helps. And also, you're more likely to receive notifications. Diversity in Comics Bear says, after the Bachelor Cuck cover, it became clear King wanted to strip Batman of all of his masculinity. L Gargoyle, thanks for $10, says, I went to the Art Institute, South Dakota in 2006. There was these introduction to success, and the whole thing was 4 hours of it's okay to fail, yet failure meant you were terminated. Art City Comics says, new from Tom King and DC Comics, Snoreman. Liam Gray says, did I just wake up to Batman beating his son? Count Falconer says, kudos DC, kick Bendis and Castellucci out next. Balezar says, it's like Iowa Hawk said.
Castellucci is taking over Batgirl.
Is he? Oh, that's a she. She's the writer, right?
Yeah, Cecile Castellucci, who has done this ridiculous Female Furies miniseries, is being rewarded for horrible writing and horrible sales with Batgirl.
Wow. Balezar says, it's like Iowa Hawk said, find a respected institution, kill it, wear its carcass like a skin suit, and demand respect. Joel Wiss says, heyo, listen at work. Good, thanks. Dick McBiz, thanks for $1. Saul for X-Men said, what Zack just described about a public firing was every Monday morning meeting when I worked in finance. People would be told to pack up their desk. Paul Mayall says, you spend your life fighting this crap. We will back you. Sick of it. Grew up when comics were good. I appreciate that, guys. Yeah, the thing about Comicsgate is we can't do anything without you guys. If you guys turn your backs on Comicsgate, it's over. We can't sell any comics. Our videos will not get views. Nobody will listen to a word we say. There will be no more terrible articles about us. I need the terrible articles, Zach. I know you don't like them. I'm waiting for a new one. Cumberbatch Pepperpot says, finally read King's Miracle Man trade paperback. Hated it. It started out good. Everyone liked it at first.
Yeah, started good.
Cumberbatch Pepperpot says, hey, ya boy, do you have a P.O. box?
I do, yeah. Just email me. I'll send it out.
Yeah, I think having a P.O. box for you is a bad idea.
Well, I know this guy, so he bought me that Fourth World.
Yeah, I know Cumberbatch Pepperpot too. He's a big supporter.
So he's not going to mail me ricin.
Okay, good. Yeah, he bought two Cyberfrog covers. His avatar is the Cyberfrog #1 cover. He owns that, so he's been very supportive. Appreciate him. Baptist 702 says, Zach, are you working on a new Jawbreakers?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now we're like 80% done.
Talk about it a little bit. Tell them.
Oh, so it's going to start as literally as soon as Jawbreakers Lost Souls Remastered, which was the second printing, as long as that's mailed out, or when that's mailed out last month and it's confirmed they've gone out, I'm pretty much going to start it immediately. So I'm going to show the art that I've been hiding for the last 6 months. So it's the conclusion of the God King storyline. And then it has the origin of Devil Dog, and it has a preview, a 10-page preview for the sci-fi book for next year called Desolation Wave. And then I just added a 10-page spoilers Return of Zashi story that will kind of give her some closure, since she was kind of left hanging in the last book.
That's great. Yeah, people are
going to be about 100 pages.
Wow. All right. Yeah. So we're going to expect to hear about that soon. Obviously, here on Comic Artist Pro Secrets, we will be promoting the living hell out of Jawbreakers God King, and you will not miss it. There's no way you can miss it as long as you pay attention to our YouTube channels. Donut Swan says, EVS, will you help Zach with his t-shirt design? It looks like something you'd buy at Walmart at 3 a.m. when you don't want to do laundry. I couldn't help. I'm bad at design, but I like that design. I just think he needs more designs, more stuff. Mark C says, King's Mr. Miracle would make the king roll over in his grave. Liam Gray says, what if DC called you and offered you Batman Cyberfrog crossover like they did with Sam Keith's most recent Batman Max crossover? The answer would be yes. I'd be stupid to say no to that. That'd be great. As long as I can keep doing Cyberfrog, I'm in. Robin Eaton says, hi guys, respect from the UK. Mike K says, gives me $1. Thank you. Cyborg Patriot, Wrench Band, Tim Lim's Bunny, WC, I sent you DMs. Yeah, let me look into that. I looked at my band accounts and he's not in there. Cumberbatch Pepperpot says, Mr. Miracle, typo, sorry. Thanks for another $2 to correct yourself. Pine Barrens Legend says, hey, Ethan, are the Dynamite covers still a go? They've become my favorite publisher with James Bond, Vampirella, and Elvira. Hopefully they didn't cave. Hell no, they didn't cave. They're in it to make money. I'm going to be producing.
Who is there to cave to? I mean, it's cool they stuck by with you, but it was 7 idiots for like 32 hours.
You know what? The thing about it is Dynamite is motivated by money. They want to sell comics. And here's the situation, guys. This is going to be an opportunity for Comicsgate to flex. And I hope you guys get on board with this. I'll be promoting this. I'm counting on you guys to back me up and make us look good here. Dynamite has a 4-issue miniseries called Vampirella and the Reanimator. I love Vampirella. I love the Reanimator. So I've asked to do covers for those books. I'm going to do at least issue number 1. We're going to have that cover come out. Now, I did not draw the interiors. I did not write this story. I'm just doing a variant cover, exclusive Cyberfrog variant cover for the first issue of this series. If this one does well, I want to do 3 more. I want to do a total of 4. So there will be an entire series of covers on this entire 4-issue miniseries. I looked at the sales on this book. This book did not sell well. It sold like 5,000 copies. So I want to see us pump that up. How great would it be if this comic actually like got up into the top 300 or 200 because of Comicsgate and because of this variant cover? That's what we have to do. That is our mission. That's what we're going to do. Yeah, they have James Bond, Vampirella, and Elvira. They have Betty Page. They have really, really good properties. And as far as I know, as long as we have this same deal going where I buy these comics and I can do whatever I want. So we'll see what we do. Dancing Mike says, is it true that Cyberfrog is Finnish? No, he's from Philadelphia. He's from New Jersey. But the book is done. It is completed. Swinging Cod says, this just in, Tom King being replaced on Batman by the duo of Aubrey Sitterson and Cena Grace. Can you imagine? Donut Swan says, please make me a wrench so I can ban Nasser. S. Campbell says, breaking news, Vanity Fair releases episode 9 picks. Yeah, I'm going to look at that. Timecode Mechanic says, love when you guys hang out. Love SJW, Zack, too. And Captain Bad says, Zack, please do Stop Thief. What is Stop Thief, Zack?
I've talked about that in a couple live streams. One of the things I always talk about Batman, I go, Batman's a guy who stops a thief when he steals your TV, which is what happened in Batman Year One. It's kind of like the counter idea to all this Scott Snyder nonsense where Batman's a god who's been predicted since the first, the Big Bang. So I just want to do a story where a thief steals a TV and he says, stop thief. And some sort of Adam West Batman or kind of looking like Cecil's character is chasing this thief. And then all kinds of crazy things happen. But it's always just about getting the TV back.
Yeah, I like that. All right. By the way, one more time, Cyberfrog is finished. It is finished. Kyle is coloring the last page. And I'm going to print. I got to figure out what the extra stuff in the back of the book is going to be. I want to make it a fun package. I'm going to I wonder if somebody will interview me. I'd do like a 3-page interview about this whole process. Maybe I'll find somebody to do that. But thank you guys for waiting and showing support. You can still back it. I'm leaving the campaign up. So if you haven't backed Cyberfrog Blood Honey yet, don't miss a chance to get your copy of this. The link is in the description. Absolutely back now. I'll probably leave it up for another month while the book's at the printer. But thank you, Zack, for joining me today. This is pretty big news, pal.
Yeah.
Does it bode well or does it bode ill? What do you think?
It's very good. I mean, you got to hold people to the fire. They have to produce. They have to sell. You can't guarantee. This isn't the DMV. You're not guaranteed a job. Boy, I made this whole video roasting this woman who says she wants a union job in comics. And that's basically what Tom King was told. It's also on DC. You shouldn't tell people, oh, you've got 100, issues, do whatever you want. He's going to do whatever he wants. He's going to write himself as, Batman. It's just horrible. So these superhero books should be action-centered soap operas about tragic but heroic people. He just made them tragic. No heroism, and barely any action adventure.
Can it get worse though?
Well, I mean, they could replace him with Mags Visaggio or Kwanzaa. I mean, yeah, they could always.
Well, that's way worse, Zack. I mean, that's like the nadir. But I mean, it can't get worse. This is the thing. Oftentimes they'll replace, somebody who kind of isn't doing a very good job, and then they'll replace them with someone who's absolutely heinous. I point you towards Captain America right now. So we will see how that goes, and keep our eye on it. But thanks for joining us this afternoon for EVS and your boy Zack Live. Have a great day, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.